Don't forget about GH2 Unfiltered. Go to www.gh2unfiltered.com. There you can have insider tips, things that I'm not able to really say out in public. You can understand that I've got a lot of regulations around me, stuff like that. Things that can be easily misinterpreted by the wrong person. For less than $2 a month, you can get your subscription to GH2 Unfiltered. In addition to that, as a special offer, I'm going to send you a copy of Maximize Your Medicare free. I'll pay for postage anywhere in the lower 48 states. So don't forget gh2unfiltered.com. On we go. Today we take a look at the effect of COVID and its possible result on life insurance, the life insurance pricing, because I've speculated, and correctly so, that COVID was not only change our economic life, our lifestyle, meaning, the idea of public gatherings with restaurants being closed, travel being restricted to different countries, etc., that, the way that economics and the effect on the economies would be, changed and possibly permanently. You can remember in other editions of the newsletter, I have shared observations from Randy Krosner and other scholars at the University of Chicago, Randy Krosner being my ex-professor when I attended school there and a former governor of the Federal Reserve Board, in other words, known as the Fed. Today, we're not going to focus on the effects on the economy. That should be self-evident because we can't dine inside of, restaurants, depending on the state where you live. However, what we're doing today is looking at the effect on life insurance, and there will going to be a separate one, a slightly nuanced one when it comes to health insurance. But anyway, the fact of the matter is that people think that, life insurance is a bunch of random number generation. In other words, the insurance company is trying to just get away with what it can, or the fact that, Jay is a snake oil salesperson. Now, you can believe that. Most of the time I spend on this channel is trying to dissuade you from either of these two, that is just simply not possible. And to basically review, number one, the world is too competitive. In other words, there's life insurance company number one, there's life insurance company number two, both are pretty smart. Meaning, life insurance company number two is not going to allow life insurance company one to walk away with all the profits. That doesn't work. The math of life insurance is known. Okay? In addition to that, because of that, Jay, the snake oil salesperson in your mind, that's also very unlikely. Why? Because number one, I'm a broker. In other words, doesn't matter to me if you want a Lexus or if you want a Honda or a Ford. If that's the one that you want, that's the one that you'll get. Okay. The second thing is, since I know about insurance company number one and insurance company number two, my job as fiduciary is to simply deliver you the most efficient option. That's it. And number three, there are all sorts of extra regulations on top of my name, all these, crazy letters after my name to make my name look longer. What they're actually doing is serving as, hey, this person actually does understand how life insurance company one works and life insurance company number two work, and in addition to that, has to work in your best interest. If I haven't convinced you of that, take a look at the other videos. Maybe you'll get the story. In addition to that, though, on top of all of that is my insight on the fact that because of the way that I understand that life insurance company one work and life insurance company number two works, then I can basically try to give you some insight on what is likely in the future. Now, I don't have a crystal ball, right? I wouldn't pretend to tell you that I have a crystal ball. However, due to the insight, I may be able to add some input on how you look at these things and the financial decisions that you might make. Here is an important article. So this article by the National Academy of Sciences in the United States of America concludes that reductions in U.S. life expectancy due to COVID-19 and disproportionate impact on Black and Latino populations. Now, just for the record, I'm not going to delve into the different socioeconomic impacts amongst the many different populations that we have in the U.S. Okay, that is for sociologists to debate. This is for, equity and inequity across populations. I'm not here to settle that. What I am here, however, to give you insight on what is going on. And that is here. We project that COVID-19 will reduce life expectancy in the United States by 1.13 years. Estimated reductions for Black and Latino populations are 3 to 4 times that for whites. And if we continue on here, down to the bottom here, you'll see our median estimate indicates a reduction in U.S. at birth of 1.13 to 77.5 years, lower than any year since 2003. Life expectancy dropping by a full year. Okay. So now, let's just presume and conclude here for the moment, and before we get to the next segment, that this is a pretty dramatic decline. In order to drop by a full year from 78.5 to 77.5 is not a small number, given the fact there are 328 million Americans in the United States, according to Wikipedia, which, close enough. Now, however, we should take a look at the way insurance actually works. And we'll take a very, very simple example, and we'll take a look at it here. So what I've done, I'm going to hide this set of columns because everyone will get distracted. And so what happens here is we'll take this simple situation where, let's hide this column too, a term insurance policy and somebody is paying $400 a year. And so I wrote this in cash flow terms. Minus 400 means you, the policy owner, is minus 400. So you're minus 400 minus 400. Okay, every year, and let's say you live for 11 more years. Doesn't matter what your age actually is, except for the fact that this is the way the insurance policy is priced. So at the end of 11 years, you have paid $4,400. Now, at the end of 11 years, let's say you pass away, somebody, your beneficiaries, gets $100,000. Okay. Now, the important insight here is over here on these two columns, columns D and column E. I'm going to go through it here, which is the interest earned on the 400. So the insurance company receives your 400, and then they invest it. And let's just say for this example, they invested at 3% a year. They're going to get $12, right? 3% of 400 is $12. They keep this money. They keep this money. And they do this every single year. So it's not only, so you can see they get this, they earn this 3% every year, and it's $132 at the end of 11 years. In addition to that, they're getting the compounding. And compounding is basically interest on interest. So since they made this 12%, they're going to, this $12, they're going to have a compounding a number. And we're going to ignore the exact cash flows of exactly when this timing is. Let's just presume this is correct, and you can get a sense. And so the compounding effect is $21.69. So in other words, over the 11 years, they're going to collect $132 from the 12, and then they're getting interest on interest, which is another 21, for a total of $153.69. So now you can see what the insurance company has actually done. I've put it here. Let's just make this green or something less white. There we go. So you can see it here at the bottom, which is insurance companies collecting the $4,400, which is here. In addition to that, it earns $153.69. And then that's a total of, and the simple addition of these two numbers is $4,553, and it pays out $100,000 and during year 12. If you take a look at the article, however, and reduce the life expectancy by a full year. Let's just see what happens now. It's over here. So I just put it COVID. And now let's just say this person has now no longer has lived through year 12 or through year 11, but only lives for 10 years. Life expectancy has declined by a year. So the rate, we'll presume that the rates be the same. Okay, in which case the benefit is 0. Oops, this should be 0. Let's just clean this up here. There it is. And so it continues to make this $12 a year in interest, and then the compounding in the same way that I suggested in the earlier years. So what happens? Two things. Number one is because you're living 10 years, the insurance company is collecting this $400 for 1 year less. So it's not collecting $4,400, it's going to collect $4,000. In addition to that, the amount of interest here has also notably declined. It's not going to make the 3%. So it makes it only for 10 years, not 11. Therefore, it went from 132 down to 120. And finally, you can see, and not trivially, the compounding has declined from $21.69 to $17.57. In other words, the total amount, and you can see the summary in this screen here. So what I've done is tried to add these and lay them out for you. Okay, so what has happened here is the insurance company has collected, in this case, after COVID, it collected $4,000. It earned $136.56. I rounded the wrong way. For a total of $4,137.56. It still has to pay the $100,000 of benefit amount to you, right? In the sense that that is what the contract says under term life insurance. So you can see what the effect here is, and it's sitting in here. Let's just put it in turquoise. The proceeds to the insurance company are therefore lower. It is no longer $4,553.69. It is now this number here, $4,137.56. That is lower by a number which is 9%. Now, the fact of the matter is what? The commercial fact of the matter is, now let's just say these are two different companies. On day one, these two companies' prices are basically identical, down to the penny. That is how competitive life insurance actually is. So now you're going to say, because of the change in this math, now all of a sudden, the amount of proceeds that the insurance company is going to get has declined by 9%. Let's say we were going to a grocery store, okay? And now let's just say you said that we're talking about, I don't know, green onion, a bag of white onions. A bag of white onions, right? They can't, grocery store number 1 cannot charge 20% more than grocery number 2 for the same bag of onions, right? They're directly comparable with each other. I made this example intentionally so. Grocery store number 1 cannot just simply raise the price by 20% higher than grocery store number 2, right? That is fairly self-evident, fairly obvious. Nevertheless, let's just say, for example, some ingredient or the fertilizer to grow an onion, the cost skyrocketed. And this happens, ask a farmer. Ask a farmer, right? Ask a corn farmer where potash was not a thing 20 years ago. Anyway, what you have over here is the fact that all of a sudden, due to some external fact, all of a sudden, the insurance company's proceeds are going to be lower by 9.14%. And you can see here, and this is the point of this article. Tell me, in a very competitive world, when this is what's going on, as determined by this article, as determined by the way that this math certainly works. What choice does the insurance company have? It can't go back here and change the rates. It cannot. Right? Once you have a signed contract under life insurance, depending on the type of life insurance that you've gotten, and this is just a term policy where the rate is fixed, the insurance company cannot double back and say, okay, well, we need to get our $4,500. They're stuck here at the $400. They're stuck. However, what you could do is what? Let's just change it now. Now you can make it $410. And now you'll see, let's just see until we get what? Let's just add these up. $410, and let's just call this equal to this. And now this is instead equal 410 and a new rate. This is not correct because the sign is wrong. And now you can see it. Instead, what would happen is the company would have 4,100 and then 141, which means 4241.01. In other words, let's make it this equal this. If the insurance company is getting the 4,100, it is also getting the interest plus the compounding effect, which we have decided is now 141. In other words, equals this plus this. So a little bit better, 4,200 instead of 4,553. And on we can go and keep playing with it. Equals a minus this plus this number here, 4396. So now you can see it, which is we can keep playing with the numbers until we get to 440. In other words, in order to make the same amount of money, in order to get this same 4553, we would have had to raise the premium here from 400 to 440. Now, pretty sure. Now, I've taken all sorts of shortcuts here, so there are a bunch of caveats I've got to tell you here. We don't see prices increasing to this degree yet. We don't. We're going to have some competitive issues. And, for our clients of my firm, etc., the guidance to these companies here now is going to become more nuanced. There's no other conclusion from it. It's not me having a crystal ball. But I just want to give you some insight on what is almost certain to occur as a result of the fact that this article appears. This is not going to be news. Insurance company number 1, insurance number 2, insurance company number 100, they're working on this now. I'm certain. Before we go, don't forget about GH2 Unfiltered. For example, on today's video, there's a separate extra segment where I'm giving you actionable things, how to think through the carriers depending on what your actual needs will be when it comes to life insurance and how to deal with COVID-19. In addition to that, part of the subscription, which is less than $2 a month, I'll send you a copy of Maximize Your Medicare, and I'll pay for postage inside the lower 48. That's it for today. My name's Jay. Be sure to hit the subscribe, the like button down below, as well as the bell to get the notifications when new videos get posted. Talk with you next time. Hope you enjoyed today's video.